Okay, I might be a boomer on this one, but looking at this image of Windows XP makes me feel nostalgic. But when we moved to Windows Vista, right here, it was such a massive upgrade in terms of the visual design of the user interface. Maybe it's just me, but I just love this like see-through glass look. It's just so satisfying to look at. But what if we can recreate this in a web app? What? Okay, let's actually get to the code. Before we start, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and to like this video so it gets out there and more like-minded people get to experience Windows Vista again in all its glory. Alright, thank you. So before we write any code, I would like you to know that we're going to be using the blur effect with the backdrop filter CSS rule, which is still not available on Firefox and Internet Explorer. So if you're using either of those, I suggest you switch to Chrome. If you're using Chrome or Safari or whatever, you don't have to worry about it. Alright, so let's go to the code editor. And here I just created a folder called Vista. And inside of it, let's create 2 new files. So the first one will be index.html. And the other will be styles.css. I'm not going to be using any frameworks or anything. It's always good to sometimes revise on the basics, things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Alright, so here I'll say doc tab, which scaffolds this basic skeleton. And for the title of the document, let's say Windows Vista. And here I would like to start by creating a navbar at the top, which will be a quick way to demonstrate to you the blur effect. So here I'll say .navbar. Now, of course, we're not using Bootstrap, so we have to style this ourselves. But before we do that, I want to create an unordered list with 4 allies inside it. So let's do this and hit tab. Oh, actually 4, so I need to type 4 there. And now Emmet scaffolds this. Let's do the classic services, blog, about, and contact. Alright, let's save that. And let's go in our styles. So let's style the navbar class, so .navbar. And here I want to give it a background color. So background color of like a see-through gray. So here I'll say RGBA 000 for black and 0.1, yeah. And I want to give it some border on the bottom as well. So border bottom, it's going to be 2 pixels, solid. I want to give it a see-through white, so I'll say RGBA 255, 255, 255, and 0.2 here. Alright, let's save that, and I'm going to run it with live server. If you don't have that, you can install the, where is it here? The live server VS Code extension, or you can use the command line tool. They're both the same. So here I'll start it with live server, and there we go. We get this like simple, typical looking list. So first thing, we need to remove these dots. So let's go here. So we're gonna target the UL. So we'll say, oops. So here we'll say .navbar UL, and we'll say list style not disk but none. And also let's give it a display of flex so that they show next to each other instead of on top of each other. Let's save and look at our app. Nothing changes because I didn't link the CSS. So here let's say link, and let's do this styles.css, and cool. All right, so we get the gray background, but it looks like our body has like some padding or margin rather. So we need to remove that. So here in our CSS, let's actually go to the top. Let's target our body, or the body of the document, not our body, and we'll say margin 0, and that should fix that. Yeah, it's fixed. All right, so these of course look horrible. We need some margin between them, but before we do that, I want to grab this image, this nature image. I'll put a link in the description for this image so that we can put it in the background so we can see our blur effect, because on a white background you can't see anything. So I'll click download. Not a robot, not that I'm aware of. Click download, get the image, let's put it in our base directory. I'll call this rename this. I'm using the wrong shortcuts, so I'll call this nature. And so I wanna have this as the overlay, like the background for all of our like document. So I want to put it at the top of the body. So here we'll say, actually I'm gonna put a div, not an image. I'll show you why. So here I'll say, let's give it a class of body overlay, close it off, and I'm gonna give this image as the background of this div. So here I'll say dot, what is it, body overlay, and here I'm gonna say background, oh not background, attachment. If I would click tab, it would be background. So URL, and let's link, or without actually that, let's link this nature.jpg image, and let's save. Actually we'll save the HTML as well. Refresh, nothing changes, and that's because actually let me check. Oh, okay, so this has no height. So if we do, like, for example, height 1000 pixels, there we go, we see the image. So what we can do is, so this body overlay, let's give it a height of 100%, and also a width of 100%. And we need to give the body like a height as well, or actually we need to give it a minimum height because it can be longer. So minimum height of 100 view height. So it's always taking all of the viewport size. Okay, cool. So we get the image, but it's on top of our navbar. To fix that, we can use the Z index. So we can give it like something like -1, actually, or 0 or 1. Huh, interesting. Oh, my bad. This needs to be positions either like fixed or absolute, otherwise it will be the navbar will be on yeah, at the bottom. I thought so. So we can just say like position absolute or fixed, so that it's always there even when we scroll. And okay, so actually no, yeah, we need to give our body a position of relative for that to work. And let's close this. Our navbar is behind the image, so if we give this overlay now a Z index of -1, there we go. So we get our navbar on top of it. Let's copy these styles, so these 3 things. So our overlay, let's give that actually not that height, just the position of the Z index. And let's make our body as well, let's give it a position of relative. And save, reload, there we go, we get the same effects. So we need to style these. So our allies need to be white. I think we can just give the navbar class a color of white, and that should change it. Yeah, cool. So our links are white. Let's give them some like margin and padding. So here we'll copy that and go target the UL, and with the ally inside it, so target the ally. Here I'll give it some, so margin right, let's give it like 0.5 rem, and I think copy that down. Oops, just copy that and paste it, and this margin, give this margin left, same margin, and let's give it a padding of as well 0.5 rem. Alright, let's see. Alright, so it looks better, but yeah, but we need to center them in the middle. So what we can do is actually we need to remove this margin on the bottom for the UL. Let's give the UL a margin of 0. Let's look at that. Okay, that looks cool, but we need to center them in the middle. So actually I'm going to increase the padding because it looks like too small. So here I'll just replace these with 1 rem. Actually that was the margin, sorry. So yeah, okay. Let's reduce these back to 0.5. Okay, that's much better. So for those to go to the middle, we simply go to the UL and say justify content, and give it center, save. Alright, so it puts them in the middle. Alright, for this to have that blurry effect, we can just target the navbar. I'm going to show you here. Simply say backdrop filter blur, and let's give it like 10 pixels. There you go. So we get the blurry background. Actually, just give it a bit less, something like 5 pixels. Cool. That looks cool. Okay, so let's actually create a window. So I'm gonna go here in the index. So here under the navbar, I'm gonna create a new div with the class. Let's call this content. So this will be like the wrapper of all the content that's underneath the navbar. And here I'll just put like a header one, and we'll just say Windows Vista, just to remind the user that this is Windows Vista. And underneath this header, I want to put the actual window. So let's put a div with a class of window, or just window, not Windows. And here, let's give this title. So this should be like a window from, you know, when you're using the OS. So this, for example, could be this computer. So let's call this computer. And let's look at our app. So we just get like 2 pieces of text. Actually, I forgot to add the blur effect in the CSS. So here in the navbar, actually the navbar itself here, we need to say backdrop filter, and say blur 5 pixels. Okay, so that's there. So we need to put these a bit in the middle. So this header one, let's give it a class of page-title. Let's go to the CSS and just gonna style that header one dot page title. I'll just give it a text align of center. Save both files. Actually, that didn't. Actually, no. I need to give the content a text align. So dot content. Or actually, as this is going to be a flexbox, I'm just gonna give it like a justify. So here we'll say display flex, and here we'll give we use justify content and say center. So everything that's inside of the content, cool, is like grabbed to the middle. But this is now put right next to the Windows Vista text, and let's change that, because by default the flex direction is row. So let's change flex direction to column, so things stack on top of each other. Cool. Alright, actually I need to change this from justify content to align items, because the vertical axis is actually the secondary axis for the column, or actually the main axis. Let's look at this. It has like a bit too much of margin, so I want to give it a margin on the top but not on the bottom. So here for the page title, I'm just going to say remove this, and actually I'm just saying, going to say margin 0 and margin bottom of 1 rem should be enough. Actually, I was meant to do the opposite, margin top 1 rem. Alright, cool. So let's make this into an actual window. It's just like a word that says this computer. So I'm gonna actually wrap this in a window header. So let's cut that and say dot window header, because usually the title of the window is right here, and then the rest there's like some content inside of it. So we'll have as well like a window body. So window dash body, and we'll style both of these. So window body, and inside of the here we'll have like some, I don't know, like some icons, like you'll have your, you know, drive icons and stuff. So let's save this and let's go to our styles. Let's actually style the window class. So let's say dot window, and let's give it the same see-through black or gray from the navbar, and also the same blur effect. So where is it? It's right here, backdrop filter blur 5 pixels, and paste that here, save. And it's it's a really tiny box right now. So what we can do, we can actually make the content expand across all of the app. So the content class, let's give it a width of 100% and also a height of 100%. See what that looks like. Okay, we need to make this take up more space. So let's actually just give it some like static width. So say width, something like 1000 pixels. Save that. All right, cool. So we get the effect, the blurry effect, but it's not there yet because this is not a cool header. Let's give this window color of white, so all of the text inside it becomes white. And let's give this like a proper margin so that it's kind of like pushed a bit to the middle and not too close to the top. Actually, it's a bit too far away from the top. So yeah, okay. Paragraphs have like a margin. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this like margin 0 from here and go up here to kind of like normalize all typography elements. So I'll just say paragraph and header 1. And any other type of text that you're going to use, I suggest you just change the like margin to 0, and each time you need some margin somewhere, you explicitly give it to that element. Alright, okay, so this is better. And actually, let's give this some margin on the bottom now that I see it, and make it white as well. Actually, I could just target everything. So star, say like color white. And that means I think we can remove this and this as well, and all text should remain white. Yeah, cool. So all text remains white, and we don't have to like write color white everywhere. Of course, like the CSS is not going to be the most elegant CSS, but you get the point. All right, so let's give this computer word here some like margin and stuff. That would be the what is it? Yeah, okay. So it's this like paragraph inside of the window header. So here, say dot window header p. So here we'll say give it some like margin top of say 10 pixels. Actually, now that I think of it, we don't need to give this margin. We just need to give like this entire window some padding, because as well we're gonna need it on the sides and on the bottom of the window as well. So scrap that, and actually just style the. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this paragraph, but copy paste that, and here give a padding of 0.6 rem. Okay, cool. Okay, that's not in the header, but let's not worry about that right now. So I want to give this as well, this text some shadow, because it's contrasting weirdly with the white thing in the background. So where is it? Is the page title right here? So say text shadow. Let's give it like 1 pixel offset, 1 pixel, and let's give a spread of 10 pixels, and it will be black as the text is white, which contrasts really well with it. All right, so it looks much better. It's more readable now. Oh, my wheel is like playing up. Okay, next thing I want to look at is the so the window. Of course, it doesn't have sharp edges, so we need to give it some like border on some like border radius. So where are we? So it would be the not the header, so the window itself. So here, let's give it some border radius, say like 20 pixels. Save. Actually, no, that's a bit way too much. Should I set it here? Window. Let's look maybe less than that. Oh, went too fast. So yeah, 10 pixels looks like so much better. It's a bit weird to see it with the blur effect. So what we can do right now, we can give that 10 pixels, and we can give it some shadow so that it stands out, because actually in Windows Vista itself there is like some shadow to the windows, if you see here. So let's go here, just give it some box shadow, and give this 0 on the offsets and 20 pixel on the spread. And what is it? There's like the blur as well. Let's give this 5 pixels, and let's give it an RGBA of 0. It's the same, like really dark, like a see-through black. Okay, you can barely see that. Or is it, has it applied? Okay, let's change this to maybe just black. No, actually no, that's sorry, that's the background color, because they're the same. So let's change this shade. No, that's a bit too much. Say like 0.6. Still a bit too. Oh, that didn't apply. No, it's applied twice. Okay, let's give this 0.6. Okay, that's much better. All right, so you can see the border radius there. So let's change this to 0.6 and keep the border radius. And what we can do now is we can create the body of the window. So here, here the body of the window, we can give it some like height and so let's go here and like some background color. So here let's say window dot body. Let's give it a background color, just background of white, and let's give it some width. The width would be 100% of the parent div. Let's give it some like static height of like 200 pixels. Alright, so we get, alright, so what we need to do actually, this looks cool, but we need to give it some padding because there is the edges right there. So actually we need to wrap this. So let's cut that. Ooh, what did I press? Let's cut that and say window dash body dash wrapper and paste that back. And now instead of like given the background, actually no, the background should stay on the body, but the width and the height will be to the wrapper itself. So here we'll, on top of here we'll say window dot body dash rather body dash wrapper, and give the width and the height. And I think yeah, so actually the height didn't apply. Actually I need to give the oh, I'm messing this up. The width and the height should go on the body itself, and also the background color. And here I'll just need to give some padding to the wrapper so that we can see the edges. So here we'll 0 on the top, and let's give like 0.5 rem on the right, and copy that. Same on the bottom, and same on the left. So 0.5 rem everywhere. And okay, so we get that. Do we get the padding? Oh, sorry, I didn't save the index.html. Okay, there we go. So we get the padding. So we have this effect of the window being on the side, even though these are two different divs, but they have the same like a blurry background effect thing. Okay, before we touch more like on the body, let's create the buttons. So the close and the minimize and the maximize buttons on the side. For this, I'm gonna use Font Awesome because it's got like these icons. So I'll put the link of this like cdn.js page in the description, and you can just grab actually not the JS. We need to grab the CSS. So go to the CSS tab and copy that. So it's copied, and in the index.html here at the top, say link, and just paste that in. And we need to add those icons inside of the body, or actually no, inside the header. So here under this computer, we need to put a div. Let's call it .buttons, and here we need to put like our buttons, but with a wrapper, because I'll show you why. So I'll say .button, and each one will have its own class because they'll have like some different like padding and stuff. So this first button will be the minimize button. So here we'll put our button, which is going to be an icon with a class of I have these written down. So you have FAS FA dash window dash minimize. And actually this can be, this can stay like that. So let's copy that and paste it 2 more times. So the second one will be select both there. Actually no, just select that one and say maximize, and here will be FA square, and here will be far instead of like FAS. Instead of solid, it's I don't know what R stands for. You can actually tell me in the comment section. And the third one will be the close button, and this will be FAS FA times, because it's it's the X, it's the multiplication symbol. Alright, let's go back to our app. Alright, cool. So we get the buttons, but of course we need to put them next to each other, and we need to put them on the right side of the window. So let's go back, style this buttons class. So here we can say dot buttons, and to put them next to each other we need to make this a flex, so display a flex, and let's give this a position of absolute so that we can like fix it onto the top right. So let's give this a top of 0 so that it's on the top, and a right of 10 pixels so that it's a bit to the left, and save that. Alright, so we get our buttons, but they're like smushed right next to each other, so we need to give these some padding. So we need to target the dot button dot whatever that button is. Let's go down here and say actually we could be a bit more accurate with our CSS rules, and add, for example, here we'll say dot window header, because that's where we are, dot buttons and dot button. So you know, like just following the practice of if you are using a framework, you need to be a bit specific to override certain styles, even though we don't need it here, but it's a good practice nonetheless. And we can also like give that there, and here we need to style our button, so let's give it a some padding. So padding, let's give it some padding on the top of 0.3 rems, and actually same on the bottom. So margin, not margin, sorry, padding bottom of 0.3 rem, and let's look at that. Okay, so we get we get our paddings, but these buttons are sized a bit differently. Actually, let's give them as well some margin between them, because they're right next to each other. Okay, let's say margin. Actually, we can use padding as well. So padding right, I'm gonna give it a bit more here, so we'll say 0.5 rem, and same on the left, 0.5 rem. Let's look at that. Okay, alright, so the X, the close button, should be a bit closer. Let me actually check. Actually, no, it should be a bit further away. So they will have actually different paddings. So let's copy that. And so let's target specifically the close one first. Dot close, close, and here, let's give it some padding right, as it's on the far right and is more padding on the right, so it would be 1.5 rem, and padding left of 0.5 rem. Let's look at that. Okay, so it's a bit pushed, and so yeah, if we look at the reference, you see it is a bit pushed, but the X button is bigger, so it actually needs some like padding, more padding on the left as well. So let's make this 1.5, and let's copy all of this, and actually remove the space padding, because we'll give them different padding for each button. So paste that 2 more times. So we have minimize and maximize. So let's grab that. So let's minimize, and that's maximize. And for the minimize, let's give it half of that. So actually let's give both 0.75 rem. Let's look at it. Okay, it looks better. They need some border though. So as all of them share the dot button class, we can style. We can give the styling here. We'll say border of 1 pixel, solid, and let's use RGBA, and this will be like the same see-through black, right? It's a bit too faint, so let's change that here. Let's make it 0.6. That's a bit too much. 0.4 and 0.3. Actually, not 0.3 seems to be the sweet spot. And also we need some like a border radius on these sides. So we need to just target the left bottom of the minimize and the right bottom of the close button. So let's actually change the border color first, so 0.3. And to target those borders, so we need to go to the minimize, and so we need to target the left. So we can say border bottom left radius. Let's give this 10 pixels and copy this over to the close button and change this to right. Let's look at that. Okay, I gave that to the maximize instead of to the minimize. So let's copy that, paste it there. It's a bit too rounded, so let's change both of them to 5 pixels. That's much better. That looks very close. So we can give as well some shadow to the icons, but I want to do the window itself, because it's not just blurry. It would be actually nice if I could move this around. Let me see if I can figure something out. Okay, it turns out it's really easy to drag and drop stuff. So we will use this library called Interact.js. So it's really simple. Just grab some code, obviously grab the library, and it allows you to move stuff around, which is really cool. So let's click here on source. Now I'm not gonna install use it npm. I'm just gonna grab the CDN link. So copy that, go back to our editor at the bottom of our body, paste that script tag, and we need to grab this first block of code. So copy all of this, copied too much stuff. Yeah, till there. And let's open up another script tag here. So script, and paste that. And as you can see here at the top, it's targeting an element with a class of draggable. So let's copy the draggable. And our draggable would be our entire window. So paste that there. And save, and that should work. So we go here, and there's no errors, and cool, there we go. So we can move the window around, and we get to demonstrate this this like blur effect even like more. We can see it around. Okay, so what I want to do next is this kind of like thing, these like lines across, or stripes across the glass in the background. So for that, I'm gonna grab this gradient. I'm not gonna attempt to write this on while recording. Okay, let's go to our style CSS. I'm gonna create a separate class for this, like a kind of like applying an effect. So here, let's do dot. Let's call it stripes, and I'll paste this gradient, or like linear gradient. So basically this is a repeating linear gradient. So it's a gradient composing of 4 different colors, and it's repeating. And each color, so we got transparent twice, and there's like kind of like the width of how much like the color takes, and there's this like see-through white color here. And this first thing is just like 45 degrees, which like rotates it around. So it's diagonal instead of like just vertical or horizontal. So save, and we need to apply the stripes class to our window. So here we'll say stripes, and let's see what that looks like. We are here. Actually, let me close these. Boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. So we get these lines across, which look like so much closer than what it used to, like this. So we get that gradient, which is kind of cool. What I want to do next is like style these buttons, because in actually Windows Vista they have this shiny like 3D button look. So let's do that. And for that, let's go to our style CSS. so we're gonna style the button. Where are we? Button, it's here. So the button is right here, so we need to give it like some a background, which is gonna be a linear gradient, similar to the one we used, but actually not repeating, just a linear gradient. And I'm gonna change a couple of things. So a button is here, so it's not gonna rotate, it's gonna be horizontal. And gonna remove these two transparents. First color will be actually a very like opaque white, and let's give this a width of 6 pixels instead. And the second color will be a there will be a color between them that's almost black. So select these, so 0 0 0, and here give it like some more opacity. And of course not 117, let's just give this like 15 pixels of width. And the third one will be the same as the first one, so 0.6 and 6 pixels of width. And let's look at our button. Oh, actually I need to put a comma here. What did I do? Yeah, pixels here. Okay, that's fine. And okay, the first mistake that I made is that the effect should only be visible when we hover the button. So let me cut that, and just gonna do some brackets here, paste that, and I grab this and add colon hover for the pseudo class. All right, so it doesn't look quite right. Okay, let me see why. I'm gonna select here the hover effect, and where's the linear gradient? Remove this. And so here, I think I should increase this one. Okay, yeah, that looks okay. All right, so 27 seems to be the sweet spot for the bottom one. All right, let's change this to 27. All right. Okay, reload. Okay, that looks so much better. All right, the only thing is that the close button is usually like red in the middle. So what we can do, we can just override it on the close button. So here under the close button, I'm just gonna open these brackets, and the second color needs to be red. So we just need to change the first one to 255, so full red and no green and no blue, so it's just red basically. And copy all of this, the close button class, and do hover. Let's save that. Actually, this still looks like it's not red at all. Let's give it some more opacity. And okay, it's a bit too red now. Let's give it maybe 0.6. Alright, that looks better. Or maybe not 0.7. Okay, that's it. I'm not gonna change it again. Okay, cool. It looks cool now. It looks much better. The title is changing to moved to distance for some reason. I think it's the draggable thing. So it must be something. Okay, so it's getting the element and it's changing the text of the header. So we can just remove this block. This block has nothing to do with actually moving the window itself. So we can just remove that and keep this. And there we go. So it's this computer, and we can move it, and the title doesn't change. So let's put some icons inside the window. So for this, I'm going to use these, what is it? It's here. So these icons from this guy called Siddharth, cool name. It's almost as cool as Siddhartha. But so these icons, he said that you can use them for personal or commercial use. So that's cool. I went ahead and downloaded them already. If you haven't, you can click on this link and download them from, it's a regular like art sharing website, so nothing dodgy. All right, so download them and put them in your folder. I'll do that in a bit. All right, so I've like put them now. Oh, I put them in this folder called icons inside of our directory. I think they look cool. All right, let's put a couple of them inside the window. So right here inside the window body, I'm gonna put an image tag, and this will have a source of, I chose already like 3, I've written them down. So the first one would be, so from the icons folder, so icons slash, which one is it? icon folder 1 and split 3, so I'm just gonna paste this 2 more times. And the second one is icon folder Vista, and the third one will be icon folder desktop, so desktop. All right. Okay, so they're overflowing, and that's because they're like a bit too large. What we can do is let's go to our styles. We can give the window the window body some actually no, we need to give it like display flex so that they like remain inside of it. Let's give it a display of flex. And by the way, if you want to put more than 3, you can also add flex wrap and set it to wrap so that they wrap around and they don't like overflow to the right and they go to the bottom. And one other thing is I want to let's wrap these images into like some divs and give them like some padding so that they don't just like kind of touch the edges. So here I'll just use some like inline styling. Why not? It's only a bad bad practice if you do it too much, like anything. So we got let's copy it one more time and grab these, go upwards and grab this line and go upwards there, save it, and oh, that doesn't look good. Actually, oh, it's because this does not apply. Oh, okay, we need to change the window body, the height from a static height into just like 100%. Okay, there we go. So the icons are actually contained inside of it. Okay, one like little thing that I want to change as well is this text here. Actually, I realized that it's black with like some white text shadow. So let's change that. So that will be, yeah, actually, yeah. How convenient is this rule right here? Window header dot or P. So let's change the color to just black and give it some text shadow of 0, 0, and 10 pixels, and white, of course. Let's save that and let's look at it. All right, it looks a bit more like what it looks like in actual Windows Vista. For some reason, it doesn't look as dark. Actually, it looks better when it's over some like white background. Maybe we can make the shadow a bit more pronounced. So where are we? We are here. I'm going to drag this up like that. Text shadow. Actually, what can I increase? The maybe I can increase the blur. Yeah, okay, it's a bit more pronounced like that. Yeah, all right, looks okay. Okay, so that's about it. I've already like sank way too much time into a fun project like this, but yeah, it's not about the Windows Vista itself, guys. It's about like learning how to like, you know, improvise and like write CSS, you know, not always kind of rely on frameworks, even though like most of the time you'll use frameworks because, you know, you don't want to rewrite everything, but also you want to practice the basics from time to time to, you know, always understand what you're doing when you're doing it. Anyway, so thank you for watching, and please again like, subscribe and like the video for the YouTube algorithm. I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times. All right, thank you for watching and I will see you soon. Bye.